Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Yogi Raven. I'm the creator and host of Souls Intuit, how to activate your intuitive superpowers. And I am here tonight with this beautiful conversation and soul herself, Sharla Monroe. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And it's unfortunate we kept trying to go live to the page, but it just seems to keep rejecting. We even tried to go live on Facebook and it wasn't having it either. So we're just going to go with the flow and have this conversation and share it with everyone afterwards. So before I begin, let me introduce you to Sharla. Sharla is, she says, my deep understanding of personal transformation was birthed from a childhood filled with chaos, abuse, and addiction. The trauma in my early life gave me the opportunity to experience profound healing firsthand. Through my experience, I've studied the practice of forgiveness, patience, non-attachment, and how to embrace my own cycles of death and rebirth. These tools have allowed me to create a solid foundation for my own life and to help others along with their healing journeys too. At home, my days are spent loving up on my supportive husband, who is my soul partner, and our two amazing children, who are a couple of the greatest teachers of my life. And together, we thrive living a vegan lifestyle in a conscious and substance-free home, mindfully choosing what we take in through all of our senses. We are silly laughter lovers, spending our days splashing in the river, rock climbing, and playing nighttime hide and seek outside. Every day is a blessing and every moment is precious. That's so beautiful. I love that. So Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us and being here tonight.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I would like to give thanks for everybody who's watching this right now. I hope that you feel blessed or have a really beautiful healing takeaway from it.
Yes, absolutely. That there's some type of powerful transmission, which I can already feel, because apparently we were short-circuited and weren't even allowed to be live. So the information apparently is going to be powerful that wants to come through in our conversation. Well, why don't we start? We were going to, and have chosen the topic, manifesting wellness through illness, and discussing your journey of how you had a major thyroid issue, right? That's what she said, and was able to overcome it and find not only healing, but spiritual transformation from it. So let's start with that.
Yeah, so the first time I recognized that I had any autoimmune issues was when I was 15. I got a huge leg rash as I was going to a dance camp, and we had been practicing, morning, noon, and night. It was a lot of fun, but a lot of pressure too. And so when we got there, we got everything situated. Everybody was excited. We were unpacked, and I just broke out in this huge rash all over my legs. And I ended up having to leave. I couldn't even compete because nobody knew what it was. And it was really itchy, and it was a pretty devastating moment for me. And at that time, there wasn't really a lot of help. Doctors just kind of said, we don't know what that is. And so I just went along with my life. But as I got older, I still had a lot of stress in my life because of my traumatic childhood. I really was caught in living life in a way that was really just a survival way, just really a fight or flight pattern almost constantly in everything that I did. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of people pleasing going on and energy leakage. And so, of course, without really understanding those patterns, I, at 34, it crept back up again, and in a really big way, in a really big, look at me, something has to change kind of way. And what happened, it was fairly gradual, but it seemed to all come on really in a heavy way at one time. And I was not able to even get out of bed, it felt like, on the daily. You know, I was still working and getting up and going to work and taking care of my son, but I was completely exhausted. So I would get him in bed and I could literally fall asleep on my bed, a hard sleep with my clothes on, because I was just that tired. So, you know, I had other muscle fatigue and other things going on with it too. And finally, I decided that I needed to seek some help because I just didn't know what to do. So I went to my doctor and got some blood tests to see if there was something going on with a lack of vitamins or low iron. And that's when it came up that I had hypothyroidism and autoimmune stuff going on. And it was completely devastating to me because the way that he gave me the information, and he is very kind and I love him so much, and I'm thankful for his part of my journey of helping me with the blood test and helping me diagnose this. But his opinion is that it's an unhealable thing, hypothyroidism, and that diet can't help, that there's really nothing you can do, and you'll be on medication for the rest of your life, is what he told me. And here I was, a person who was not on any prescriptions and just really lived my life in a way that was more holistic. And so that was shocking and really upsetting for me. But I said, no, I'm not going to live that way, and I'm not going to be on a prescription the rest of my life. But what I did do was I took the prescription and started taking it to use it as a bridge, because the medical world is there for us to utilize, and it serves a lot of good purposes. And so as I used this medication for a bridge, knowing that I would get off of it, it did give me the energy to start, you know, to clear my head, because things were so foggy before. I just couldn't hardly think straight.
Yeah.
And then just to start making some powerful changes. So as I started making those powerful changes, I looked at my life and discovered, you know, that some things needed to go. Things that I let go of were things that really stole my energy, that didn't give anything back to me. So that was drinking alcohol. That was, you know, I was a social cigarette smoker. It did nothing for me. But in that process, I recognized that I enjoyed doing it because it was a breathing thing. You know, it was taking a moment for myself and like getting away from everything else. So once I recognized my triggers and my patterns, I was able to let those things go and replace them with healthy, soul nourishing things. And during that process, I started to notice my spiritual connection coming back really strong. My intuition started talking to me again. Because what happens with alcohol, which Raven, I'm sure you've heard of this, is that you know, sometimes we take it to numb ourselves, but you can't choose what you're numbing. You know, I couldn't choose to numb out the toxic work environment, the toxic abusive relationship that I was in. It just wasn't working. And it was also stealing any joy or creativity that I had. It was really a disconnect from my spiritual life in a really big way. So yeah, I just cold turkeyed that stuff in one day. No more cigarettes, no more alcohol, and I never looked back. But you know, when you take something away,
That's really impressive. I think a lot of people turn back, you know, quite often, and even more so now than I think ever before, because of the stresses that we are experiencing, the job loss, the, you know, health concerns with what's going on with COVID, and, you know, just the closing of all the borders, and, you know, people that are normally free and, you know, able to travel, that's not there for them. So that's a really powerful thing to share. And I'm sure that there's like, do you have any points to, you know, contribute to anybody that is in that process, that wants to like clean that, you know, certain areas of their life to live clearer or to have a healthier point of wellness and abundance?
Yeah, I think first I want to speak to that these things are a process. I had tried to let go of alcohol prior to this in a way of, well, I'll just drink on the weekends. And then the weekends became, well, I'll just drink on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because like Thursdays are really weekends too.
Yeah.
And then like we can let Sunday slide in, right? Because that's the end of the weekend, just, that's cool. And I realized that I couldn't manage it. And what I understood was that anything that I can't say no to, that I feel like I can't let go of, or that keeps coming up for me, or that I feel drawn to, is something I really need to look at and give some attention. Why can't I let that go? So if I can't let something go for 30 days, then it has control of me. I don't have control of it. So that was the first recognizing, oh, what are those things? Sugar, caffeine, these really addictive types of things. The second thing I did is I made a map for myself of my energy and because when you have a thyroid condition, basically your energy is leaking too much. You don't have enough energy as it is. So you have to find a way to plug up those leaks and create a better container for the energy you do have. And then when we do that, we also start filling our container with the things that are soul nourishing. So we build up our energy. So we build up that life force energy. So when I looked at the process of, okay, not only do I spend time buying alcohol, I spend time making the money to buy the alcohol, and then I spend time drinking the alcohol, and then I spend time feeling like total doo-doo in the mornings after drinking the alcohol. Like, how much life is that stealing? And from one night of doing that, how much life is that stealing the next day? Or God forbid any awful, things are that happened the night before that then I have to like deal with the next day, So that was what was most helpful for me, is just recognizing, wow, I'm giving a lot of energy to this thing that is not giving me any energy back. And I'm not doing that anymore. My energy is finite, and I wanted to have more energy. So recognizing that change requires change, period. There's no way around that.
Well, and I mean, and that's such a beautiful tie-in to the theme of manifesting wellness through illness, and like, you going through that journey of discovery and, embracing, wow, I got sick because something was trying to communicate with me. I would love for you to, share a little bit of how your life shifted once you started to go even deeper down, the tools to manifest, the keys behind that, the energy behind that, and how that's connected with
Yeah.
and
Well, it was absolutely connected because I was in an abusive, codependent relationship with someone who was narcissistic, and they were way on the scales of narcissistic all the way to the right. But my part was all the way on the opposite end. So like I said, that was passivity, that was not speaking up for myself, that was wanting someone else to tell me what to do, or, kind of take care of me in a sense. And what happened was why this is manifesting wellness through illness is because at first I looked at the thyroid condition as, how could this happen to me? Why me? I'm a good person. Like, I do my best every day. Why would I just get this illness? And then I realized underneath it, after some time, and I had processed, that this was coming to me as a gift. I had a vision later on. I had a vision of these little, I don't even know what to describe them as, but these little beings working around my neck and taking out and removing this pearl and showing me this beautiful pearl. And they told me, you don't need this anymore. This was a gift for you. This was to help you learn how to speak up for yourself and stand up for yourself and take care of yourself. Because I just wasn't doing that. And I was distracting myself from all of the things that really needed attention.
Well, and isn't the thyroid like anger for not speaking up, or like anger for not speaking your truth? Louise Hay, right?
Oh, maybe for me, it felt more like just all of those elements of sadness and grief and feeling small and stuck and powerless because of all the abuse in my childhood. And yeah, I could see how anger can tie into that, because when my father would beat my mother or do things to us, I never felt safe enough to say, no, you don't get to do that. I never once directly in 10 years of living with him felt safe enough to just say that.
Well, I correct myself. The thyroid for Louise Hay, it says, humiliation, I never get to do what I want to do. When is it going to be my turn? Which feels like that same messaging, right? Which is, it's just interesting, right? When we look at the correlation between what you're sharing, like, was your story, and this build up of, not speaking your truth, not giving yourself your time, right? Serving everybody else except Sharla. And
totally.
Right, and how that was connected to that particular, like, the thyroid in itself. And so now where did you start incorporating, because you're such a conscious person and obviously have really good ability to, some people just really linger in that place of needing to drink or needing to, and so that's like so inspiring, I think, for many to just see, like, wow, cold turkey, could cut that out. I did with cigarettes, I will say that. Like, day before my 30th birthday, and I haven't had a cigarette since, one of those,
nice.
those kind of things. And I would say, I built up and kept trying to quit until it was just that point. So, but
well, what I want to say about that is to be so easy, for everyone to be so easy with yourself. If you want to give something up, just start the process. And if you falter on it, it's okay, because oftentimes it is more of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. And I was in multiple abusive relationships before I finally broke free of it, because we have to learn all the lessons we have to learn. That those relationships are there to teach us, or that the alcohol is there to teach us, until we're finally just done. But once you're done, if anyone is listening that has ever been done, you're done and you never go back. And that's where I was at. I had so much pain. My pain level was just too much to even mess with it anymore.
Yeah. The threshold was like so high, huh?
Yeah. But I wish for everyone to be able to even get there before I did.
And so, well, how long, that's my next question. How long was that journey for you?
Of drinking?
Well, the thyroid and that shifting out of that place around the age of 34 is what you said. So
yeah. So it was a lifelong thing, but I just didn't have awareness around it. And sometimes I think that, like I said, there's still lessons to be learned. I needed to go through those relationships and have those responses, it was for me to teach me. I learned so much through it. And now on this side, the understandings that I have are from knowing what it feels like to be in those spaces, and knowing how painful and alone it can really feel, and how devastating it can be. And so when my clients come in, they really feel that. They don't feel like I learned all of my stuff from a textbook or some course I took online. They know that I've lived it, and that's just so connecting. Have you experienced that? that connection where when someone's really been there with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, they even say that like the best yoga teachers are the ones that have gone through the most. You know, it's like how much have you been banged up and bruised by life along the way? You have these references, these point of references that you can interrelate with people on a deeper level. Like you, and I think that's really where true compassion lies, if you ask me, is when we can see ourselves in someone else's story and we can see, you know, what they're going through.
Right, because there's no judgment. When I see a person out there drinking, I go, oh, well, I know what that feels like, you know, and maybe some people manage drinking better than I did. For me, it just was not a good fix. I think there are people out there who may be able to have a drink here or there and, you know, just like I said, manage it in a much different way than I did.
Well,
But for
and
me, it was definitely not good.
we all manage emotions. We all, you know, given like whatever our life experiences are. And that's the kind of the beauty of it. But I want to get into the nuts and bolts of like manifesting and how you know, tied this piece in of working with in the energy arts like Reiki and, you know, the life experiences that you have had and how that's been able to create abundance for you, create wellness.
Yeah. So for me, I believe that, you know, Reiki and the work I do is really about, for me, it's about self-practice, self-responsibility, personal development for my clients, and I empower them to do that. I found my way to Reiki through doing those things, through being my own advocate, through taking care of my stuff, through getting as clean and clear as I possibly could. You know, part of the reason that I still, you know, that I let go of all the things that I have, sugar and caffeine and all of those things, is because I feel like a really clear channel when I don't have those substances in my system. And so I think just that I was willing to be humble and do the work, it led me here. Yeah, is there more to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's talk about like what you're going to be going over in your workshop, you know, and that in terms of manifesting and you know how they're going to learn about that.
So, like I said, starting to as I manifested wellness through this illness of the thyroid condition, it really took a lot of my practice and my focus. So I started paying attention to my languaging, to my inner critic, to what I was saying to myself, to my limiting beliefs, to old beliefs that were outworn and outdated. And I started making massive change. And, you know, I was fired from a job that I was at for over 8 years. That was my career. And I knew I was done with that and I was never going back. It ended up being a major gift in disguise, as the illness was as well. Right. And leaving that abusive relationship. But what happened is, as I healed from my illness, I didn't match up with those things anymore. I didn't match up with a lot of my old friends anymore. I didn't match up with that job because I had moved, you know, my boss was also on the narcissistic side. So I had moved away from that match. You know, I was no longer this codependent individual. I finally had a voice and I stood strong, and my boss really didn't appreciate that, you know, and that's fine. It, you know, it worked out beautifully for me. So I think as we look at those aspects of why did the illness come in the first place? Oh, it came in to show me to heal all of those, that list of things then more abundance comes in on the other side, because it's just the natural way. I wasn't wasting my energy anymore.
Yeah. So we are going to be doing your workshop next Saturday, was it September 5th, I believe?
Yes.
From 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 1 p.m. And I'm just looking at the description here.
Do you want me to go over a little bit about the class?
Yeah, that was what I was just kind of
Okay.
learn the step-by-step process for manifesting.
Yeah, so manifesting to me is connection to the self. It's connection to the desires of the heart, things that are in alignment with you and who you are, things that are for your highest good. But there's also this aspect of connection to divine. So the things that really help me move through this most, through all of my healing and my processes in life, have been trusting my intuition. Even when I was scared as hell, like, I am doing this. And I feel it, and I check in with my heart, and I know it's right. And manifesting, as we practice that with small things, it's a way of the universe giving us feedback. You know, if you're visualizing that you just want some flowers and that would feel so good, and then you don't know how they're going to come, and then they just show up and you have flowers, you didn't really have to do anything to get them. It's the way of the universe going, hey, I'm with you. You know, here are some blessings for you. So I really love helping people learn that process for themselves, because it can be, you know, it's a lifelong practice. And when we get to a point of really being comfortable with this process, then we realize we're manifesting every day. So now I don't even have to use the process of actual manifesting, because it just shows up, because everything's so clear. You know, it's already there.
An example.
An example?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a super simple example, but I was in my garden working, and there's a ring of rocks around a tree that is just completely dead area. And so I wanted some irises to plant in there, and I was just picturing these irises, and I didn't know when I would get them or when I would do it, but I wasn't making any plans to go do anything other than, oh yeah, I'd like that there. And the very next day, I got this inspiration to get online and look at this Nextdoor app. And this woman she had called them lilies, but she had put a bunch of them on her curb and said, free lilies, come pick them up. And I looked at it and I was like, those are irises. And so I drove there, but with my son's nap schedule, I wasn't able to get there till later, so I wasn't sure if there would even be any left. There were so many. I'll post a picture tomorrow. There were so many that I had an armful this big, and more than enough irises to plant there and in my backyard and share with one of my friends.
Oh, wow.
And they were white irises, which is a message from my angels. When I see white flowers, it's one of my angels' ways of just saying, hey, we're here with you and we're supporting you. And yeah.
That's great. I love manifesting, and I love being able to, those stories just boggle my mind. It's just so fascinating how our reality is and how life really works. It gets me so excited.
Yeah, the quicker things come in sometimes like that, when they're in alignment, it shows us how much we're in alignment with what it is that we're asking for. And sometimes things take time, because it is universal divine timing. and we don't have
You know,
control
I
over
do think
everything.
that piece is like, are you ready to receive it? And what do you need to do in order to be in alignment with it? So say you command it and you call it in, but like, you know, you haven't really done A, B, C, D, and E in order for it to really happen. So you like that,
Right.
I think that's that piece of like the delay.
Yes. But I also feel like sometimes things line up right for us where it's also right for somebody else. And so there might be a lag in that time. An example might be selling a house, you know, where you have to wait a little bit for this person to be ready to make their move, and then all these things are going to naturally line up well for you, and then the season's going to be right, and it's just going to poof come together.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. We're on the same wavelength for sure. That's amazing.
But yeah, in the class, I'm going to share a lot of examples. And even before the class next week, I'm going to be sharing a lot of my pictures and examples of different manifests that I've done. So it will be really fun.
I love it. I can't wait to hear more about it. And I just thank you so much for sharing your story. And I know that it's going to inspire many others. I have definitely experienced phantom illness, you know, and so I can definitely resonate with that journey that you've gone through and how frustrating and, you know, scary it can be. And so it's just great to see somebody on the other side doing what you're doing and taking your, you know, your wounds and curating them into wisdom for yourself and others.
Yeah, and I would like to say I have been completely thyroid healthy and medication free for over 4 years now.
Great, and that's that. I love that you shared that because I'm sure many people are wondering. And if there's anything that you want to share as far as that goes, energetically or nutritionally, I know so many people that have thyroid issues.
Yeah, it's true. No, I want everybody to know that you're not alone. We are our own most powerful healers. And yes, I did reach out for support in a lot of different ways. There were a lot of things that I called in, and a lot of people who helped me along the way on my healing journey. And so even though we're our own best healers, it's also good to have support. Someone who's been there, because we're not meant to do all of this alone.
Wonderful. Yeah, so true. And it's so.
Oh, and I would like to say, for anyone who watches this video, I'm offering a $45 off their first Reiki session with me.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can book directly online on my website.
SharlaMonroe.com.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Actually, send me an email since I'm giving you the little discount, or I may make a button too. I don't know. I didn't think that went all the way through. But well, yeah, reach out to me.
They can reach out to you through your website, SharlaMonroe.com.
Yeah, or through, yeah, or my Facebook business page, whichever one.
This video.
Yes.
Manifesting wellness through illness, and get your discount.
Yeah, and I'll run that all the way through September, the end of September.
Awesome. That sounds great. Wonderful, Sharla. And I've had my own experience with Sharla's healing abilities, and they're quite profound and very supportive. And as you can already tell, very nurturing. That's just really the essence that you imbue to all of us. So thank you so much for creating such a lovely container for us to be a witness to you and just sharing of your story that many can relate. So thank you, Sharla.
You,
yeah.
Bye.